What's up, IWillWillU.com? Hey, what's up, everybody? Tim Campbell.
SeMonne Campbell.
From IWillWillU.com. Listen, we're bringing you this vlog, and this one's being dedicated to one of our loyal listeners that's been following us for a little bit. We actually got an email from her, and she was had some concerns about her own relationship, and so we wanted to dedicate this video post to her and answer her question from our perspective.
And the email wrote, "Hi guys, I am having a hard time on controlling my reactions or how I respond to my husband. Sometimes I speak before I think, and that causes an argument between us. As for him, he reacts in a tone that makes me shut down and not even want to talk to him. I need tips on how I need to listen and then respond. Everything may not need a response, but how do I learn to control me? I can say that I have a relationship with God, and he told me this morning that you are held accountable for your actions and reactions, not others. Need tips on learning to continue to do so daily. Thanks and happy vlogging."
So that's an interesting topic. How do you control yourself, right, in a relationship?
Yes.
And the thing is, like with our relationship, it's like a lot of the stuff that we go through, I put us there. Like I'll take responsibility that like I didn't handle things the right way, and sometimes I still find myself not handling things the right way because I don't control myself. Like I want to prove my point. I want to just voice my opinion, you know, and or just say do an emotional reaction, react off of you. Right. Like if you're always reacting off of each other, you get whatever you get. You don't know what it is. It's not planned. You know, wherever that emotion, wherever that moment takes you, that's where you're going to go. So that can be a negative.
Right. And I would say for me, you know, my thing is I'm hurting. I want you to hurt. I don't think, I just react. So
yeah,
simple as that.
So we're going to try to attempt to give you what helped us out, because we went through that same thing. We want to let you know that there is hope in your situation. That the first thing that that was great about your question is that you recognize that you have an issue. There's a lot of people out there that flies off the handle that don't recognize that that's a problem, right? They make excuses for their behavior. So you're recognizing that I need to change, and relationships, like I always say, relationships cannot change until the individuals in the relationships change. So you recognizing that you need to change is a great step ahead, right? So let's give her a few tips from what she can do.
Right. You start with the first one, baby.
Okay. Thank you. The first tip that helped us out is to ask yourself why. Right? Why do you feel like you can't control yourself? Like we are products of the past, right? Everything that we've been through, the events that we went through, has shaped who we are. So a lot of times people don't take time to reflect on who they are, to understand themselves. Like I understand what situations, if I'm in, how I'm going to react from them. Like if I know that SeMonne says this, I know what kind of emotion that's going to create out of me. And so it's not very spontaneous, but I understand how I'm going to react. But the important piece is, why do I react that way? Why do I do the things that I do? Now, the reason why I say ask this question is because you're always going to be dealing with surface level issues if you don't dig down into who you are. Why do you feel like you can't control yourself? And what other areas of life besides your relationship that you find yourself not being able to control, right? So I want you to do this. Ask yourself why 5 times, okay? 5 times ask yourself why. Why do you do these things? And then you're going to get an answer. Take that answer and ask why again. And take that answer, ask why again. What you're doing is you're starting to dig down the levels, and you may find out that, hey, I do that because I watched my mother do that. I watched my parents do that. Or I saw this, I constantly watch TV shows where they do that. So this negative behavior becomes a norm in my mind because of what I've seen and what I've been through. What I need you to do, though, is say, what can I do so that I don't think that this is a normal behavior, right? So start to uncover why you do the things that you do. Start to really reflect on the person that you are. Spend time. A lot of people do this when they're older, but I want you to do this now, no matter what age you are. Start to reflect on your life, why you do the things that you do. Everything that you saw growing up may be a negative influence that's impacting your relationship now. Even though you may have loving parents, maybe you have both parents in the household, maybe you went through a traumatic experience and you felt that was a defense mechanism. Like, I'm defending myself now. So I want you to ask why you do what you do, so that you can really uncover where the source of this anger, where the source of this uncontrol is coming from.
Right. And then I would say the second tip I would like to leave you guys with is asking yourself, what are you trying to accomplish? I remember there's times, because I'm more of the reactor without thinking, and so I remember there's times Tim would do something, and before I think about it, I would just say something negative to him. And that's not what I really wanted. I really wanted to say, hey, you hurt me by doing that, or you hurt me by saying those words. But instead of me taking a moment to process what I was about to say back to him, I just lashed out. So stop and ask yourself, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to get your spouse's attention? Are you trying to keep negative around you? What are you trying to accomplish? And then react off of that. Slow yourself down and figure out, what am I trying to accomplish right now?
Yeah, and that's important, because you're talking about destination. Mm-hmm. Like, this is where I'm trying to get to with my response.
Right.
Like, and so if you really look at that in our email, the email that we just read, that listener is really try to satisfy a need. Right. So you react so that you can feel right, or that you can get your point across. Mm-hmm. Right. Is that really what you're trying to accomplish, or are you trying to? Or are you trying to have a great relationship? So that destination point, one reaction takes you to this destination, another reaction takes you to this destination, and you got to decide which destination you want to end up at. Right. That number 3, the first 2 were questions. Number 3 is more so actions, right? And so number 3 we're going to give you is role reversal, right? And so me and SeMonne had to do this, is that we weren't really understanding who we were dealing with, right? So we would argue and fight, and it was really a selfish need that we had with ourselves, right? And I didn't see the kind of person that SeMonne was. What am I saying? Well, when I argued with SeMonne, it was to get my point across, but I didn't see that vulnerable woman that was standing there, and some of the things that she's been through, how she deals with problems, how she deals with issues. And it wasn't until I put myself in her shoes, like I really started to understand how she grew up, the things that she grew up around, her fears, the things her weaknesses, and all of those things caused a negative response. And in lieu of kicking her when she was down, I began to understand that no, these are weak areas. Let me protect these areas, right? So my reaction should be very complimentary. I shouldn't respond off the handle, but really start to see the vulnerable side of my spouse, so that I can respond in a protective type manner.
Right. And I would say really dig in, especially for for women. Sometimes we forget that our spouses, because they're men, we forget that they have a vulnerable side. I had to really dig in and think about when Tim was like 12, and then just picture his life year by year, the things that he went through, and understand that he's still hurting, he's still human.
Yeah. And and this isn't stuff for I hear a lot of people saying, well, that relationship, that kind of advice isn't for me. Well, you got to really ask yourself, do you want a great relationship or not? Like these ingredients don't change on how to treat each other, and you got to work to a point where it isn't a normal for you to react that way, negatively towards your spouse. You either are doing 2 things in your relationship. You either are breaking your spouse down, or you're building them up. Right, and so your reactions is going to break them down or build them up. You decide. All right?
And I noticed I was more so the one that broke him down. I broke him down to the 10th power. I couldn't understand why he didn't want to be home, why he didn't want to be around me. But every time, all I did was attack him, and I didn't realize that when I stopped doing that, I noticed he started changing. And, my goal wasn't even for him to change. I was just tired of attacking him. I got real tired of it. And when I started being quiet, he started slowly, we became best friends.
Yeah.
Like, we got closer and drew him closer to me, even sexually, I felt like he didn't love me. He didn't want to touch me. And it's like, when I stopped attacking him, it's like all his guards went down. Yeah,
it's like the chicken and the egg. It's like, which one's going to come first? Are you going to give or I'm going to give?
Right.
One of you got to be the hero in the relationship.
Right.
The fourth tool that we're going to give you is the replacement swap. Okay. You said that you exhibited negative behavior. We want you to swap that for positive behavior. So you can't take something away without putting something in its place, right? So if you're going to commit in this 21-day challenge that we have, if you go to IWillWillU.com, enter a 21-day challenge. It teaches you some of these tips that we're giving you, because you got to train your mind on doing this. You just don't do it. You got to train it yourself to do it. But the replacement swap says that I recognize that I've been negative towards my spouse. Okay, so I'm going to take that away. So what are you going to do in its place? You're still going to have that emotional reaction.
Right.
But we want the emotional reaction to be positive. And that means that you have to come up with a way to express yourself positively. So when I feel this emotion coming up, I plan to react in this way. It may be a word that I make up that's positive, that compliments my spouse. Mm-hmm. It may be a gesture, some positive gesture that's going to take the place of this negative result. Now, you're not going to instantly do this. It's going to take practice, right? With everything. I may not know how to throw a football, but if I'm going to be a quarterback, I got to practice that every day, right? Boom. Today I'm doing it. Today I'm doing it. Today I'm doing it. I'm practicing that motion. Same thing in your relationship. If you're going to change your language behavior and your negative responses, you got to practice that. So it's not going to happen over time, but you got to find a way to take negative things and find positive replacements for them.
Right. And then I would say the fifth tip that we would like to leave you with is the timeout card. I love the timeout card. It's very special and very dear to me. Meg, I'll let you elaborate. And I'll throw my little 2 cents in there.
Yeah, I mean, like in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the engagement, you're not gonna. You may not, unless you've been practicing, you may not respond the way you need to respond. And so both spouses need to be understanding of that. Like, you have to communicate, in this case, your husband, you have to communicate with your husband. And for some, they're your wife or your relationship, your girlfriend, boyfriend. You got to communicate to say, I'm not completely where I need to be right now. If you do this, I'm going to snap. So I need you to be forgiving. I'm going to pull this timeout card, right? That means that I'm going to take a break. I get to get a break, get my emotions under control, and then we can come back to whatever was the issue, right? And you got to come back to and just address those challenges, but you don't have to do it right then and there in the heat of the moment, because it's going to be a negative response. So allow the timeout card, and the timeout card can be a key word that you say, an actual card, make it fun, an actual card that you pull out that says that I get to get a breather. Let me get my thoughts, let me collect myself together, and then we can come back and address this challenge.
And I know it sounds crazy. I know it does. And it sounds like, okay, a little different. Yeah. But it works. It works, And I know when I'm in my modes and I'm about to snap and I'm like, Tim, I got the red card. I just tell them, like, But it really helps. And at first, we laughed about it. We made a joke about it. But it actually helps our relationship. And then it shows the spouse to be more aware. I'm not mad at you. It's nothing you did. I just need a moment. And I think that's a good awareness,
Right. So you got those tips. The only way that these tips don't become an afterthought is if you set up a plan to start implementing them every single day. It takes practice, and habits are built up over time. That's why we did the 21-day. We created the 21-day challenge, because it really takes 21 days for something to become a habit, right? So we have you going through some things for 21 days in order for, at the end of the 21 days, it's locked into your mind and you can respond in a perfect manner. So I hope that helps you out. We really appreciate listeners emailing us.
Yeah, please email us. We love responding. We want to know, what can we talk about,
Yeah, and we're not going to, unless you want us to, we're not going to say your name or anything. Right. So it's a completely anonymous. Just tell us what your issues are.
Right.
And me and SeMonne will make sure that we address them and give you some tips from our perspective. We've been through a lot early on, and we were able to get through it. We're still fighting through a lot of things, but we're committed to being. We were just talking today about being grandparents and great grandparents, and setting up traditions and rituals in our marriage, and just looking forward to the future, together. So
make sure you guys enter your email, and make sure when you get your email, you respond, send a confirmation through your email.
Yeah, go to IWillWillU.com. You'll see the 21-day challenge. Enter your name and your email, hit the registration button, and then you'll be locked in, and then you'll have to check your email to confirm that, okay? Right. So do that. We'll stay connected. We're fighting for marriages. We are fighting for marriages and relationships because we believe that you can make it, right? And you will make it. All right, until the next time.